A pleasant morning to you, sir. By the way, I am Regine Borongan, and from this morning, I will going to report our first lesson about regional variation in language. So, regional variation in language is not a simply matter of two or more dialects of a single language, but can involve two or more quiet distinct in different languages. Next is through this book, we are going to talk about language such as English, Spanish, or Swahili. Next is standard language. Standard language is actually an idealized variety since it has no specific region. It is the version found in printed English book, work of fiction, in scientific and other technical articles. Standard English also is the one taught in most schools. Next is dialectology. Dialectology is the general impression of mutual intelligibility among many speakers of different dialects of English. This is one of the different dialects of criteria used in the study of dialects of the same language and two different languages. So, dialectology is the criteria used in the study to distinguish between two different languages which the speaker can't usually understand each other, or two dialects of the same language which the speaker can usually understand each other. Next is regional dialects. Regional dialects is the existence of different regional dialect is widely recognized and often the source of some humors for those living in different regions. Next is isoglossis. Isoglosses represent as a line boundary between the area with regards to the particular linguistic items. So, isoglossis is if a very similar distribution is found for the other items, such as preferences for the for to north and Baki to south. Then the other isoglosses can be drawn on the map. So, in this picture, the blue broken line between the two areas are what we call isoglosses. Next is dialect boundary. When a number of isoglosses come together in this way, a more solid line indicating a dialect boundary can be drawn in this picture. So, a small circle indicates where paper bag was used and a plus sign shows the paper sack was used. The broken line in the two areas is an isogloss that coincide with enough other isoglosses involving linguistic features to be classified as a dialect boundary. So in this picture, when we define dialect boundary, we can start the broken line between the areas is an isoglossis. Then the coincide with enough other isoglosses involving other linguistic features is what we call the dialect boundary. So for us to identify the dialect boundaries, when a number of isoglosses come together in this way, a solid line there is indicate as a dialect boundary. Next is bilingualism. Bilingualism is the level of the individual tends to be a feature of a minority group. Next is pidgin. It's a kind of impromptu language. It is a variety of language that describe a pidgin is often discussed as a contact language that developed for some practical purposes, such as trading among groups of people who had a lot of contact but who did not know each other's other language. So, from the word pidgin, it is a kind of language that usually used for who did not know each other language. This is their contact language for trading or their business and other practical purposes. Next is diglossia. Diglossia is involving two distinct varieties of a language. There are two types of diglossia, the low variety and the high variety. Low variety acquired local and used for everyday affairs. So, ang low variety is example nato niya is ang kanaang ato ang mother tongue or ang ato ang first language. So, next is high variety. Learn in school and used for important matter. So, ang high variety nagpasabot siya nga mura siya og second language nga ang pananglit second language nato mga Bisaya is ang English. Kay ang English mo na siya atong gigamit sa ato ang pag-eskwela. Mo na na-learn nato sa ato ang eskwelahan. Next is ang language planning. Perhaps bilingualism is contemporary Europe and North America tends to be found mostly among minority groups. Many countries are often assumed to be monolingual. For many of those residents who are capable of speaking one language. The United States would indeed seems to be a monolingual country. For others, it clearly is not, because they live in large communities where English is not the first language of the home. As one example, the majority of the population in San Antonio, Texas will be more likely to listen to radio broadcasts in Spanish than in English. This simple facts has quite large repercussions in terms of organizations of local representative government and the educational system. Should elementary school teaching can take place Spanish or English? So, language planning has two types, the monolingual and a bilingualism. Monolingual is a person or people who are capable of speaking one language. So, ang monolingual is paranglit kuan siya, nagpasabot siya nga ang isa ka tawo o isa ra jud ang iya ang language nga nakabaluan mo na siya kanaang monolingual. When we talk monolingual is one, isa ra iya ang nakatunan. So bilingualism is the person or people who are capable of speaking one or more language. So bilingualism is kana siyang mga tawo nga kuan siya kabalo siya misturya og different languages, one or more languages through sa iya ang pag-study. Next is ang Creoles. Creoles essentially developed as first language of children growing up in Pidginizing community. It also have a large number of native speakers and are not restricted in their uses. So Creoles, muna siya mga languages nga muna first language sa mga bata. Next is ang Post-Creole continuum. Post-Creole continuum in many contemporary situations where Creole involves, there is usually evidence of another process at work. So, when we talk post-Creolese, this talk about the range of variety involving after the post-Creolese has and become into existence. So, these are the following range of variety. The Creolization, decreolization, post-Creole continuum. So, the Creolization was a development from a Pidgin to Creole. Ang Creolization na develop siya sa Pidgin, nadala siya sa Creole. Muna siya. So, decreolization is the education and greater social prestige are with higher variety then the number of speakers will tend to use fewer Creole forms and structures. Next is post-Creole continuum. Post-Creole continuum is the range of variety involving after or post the Creole has become into existence. So, that's all my report for this morning, sir. Thank you so much. And my following answers are this. From the study questions, which variety of English would say is being used in the introductory quotation from Lee to Nietzsche? My answer is Hawaii Creole English or in Hawaii or Pidgin. Then the following. Task A. Task B. C is Task D. Task E. Question, then answer. Next is task F. And question and answer. Then task G and question. Next is answer. Task H, question, then answer. And that's all. Thank you so much, sir. Goodbye. Have a blessed day.